Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Paula here. So today I've just come to you really raw, really real with this reaction video to the American Gospel documentary on Netflix. I believe the film came out in 2018. I have been kind of putting off watching it because I just kept hearing stuff about it. Like a lot of it was good, some of it was bad. Yeah, I try and avoid things that are like trends or things that are like controversial for the sake of being controversial or what I think is controversial. So I did avoid watching the film. People had told me about the film, people had recommended I watched it, and I was just a bit like, yeah, I'll get to it, and I put it off. I can't really explain it. I put it off. And then eventually my sister watched it and she was just like, Paula, you need to watch this film. It really touches on some stuff that we were taught as kids and we were brought up in. So I watched it and this is my reaction. I watched it last night, just before bed. It's a 2-hour film, like I said, but it took me 3 hours to watch because I kept pausing it. I kept, taking notes, opening my Bible and just kind of going, what? Yeah, it was an experience. So I definitely say if you watch it, give yourself some time to watch it. Don't think, I'll just watch this in 2 hours and get over and done with. It's a lot, it's very full on. So here's the video, still fresh in my mind. Even my devotional this morning touched on everything I'd watched. My devotional yesterday morning, before I even watched the film, touched on what I watched. And that's how I know that God was just confirming that I needed to watch it. I feel like I've not really said anything about what it is, but essentially American Gospel is a documentary that talks about the prosperity gospel, as it's called, or word of faith gospel, which basically is a strand of Christianity where people have kind of run with this idea of the American dream and like infused it into the gospel, where God is for us, and He is for us, but they kind of just run with this whole thing of like, God is part of my story, God loves me so much, so He's there for me, and He's almost like a genie. Anything I wish He would do. He's basically Santa Claus. I can speak things into existence. I can make things happen. I am so powerful, and it's very I-centered, very me-centered. We're not the center of the gospel. We're very, very lucky and I shouldn't say lucky, very, very blessed that the gospel reaches us, and that is by His grace that we even know of Him. But the gospel is not centered around me. And I think that's something that some people are like, what? You mean this whole story isn't about me? No, it's not about you. It's about Jesus. It's about Jesus. When you read the Bible, you should always remember and keep in mind that the Bible is written about Jesus. It's all about Jesus. It's all about God's plan through Jesus. It's not about us. One thing that when I was listening to, I was like, oh my gosh, was when he kept saying, or when someone said, you're not David and your problem is not Goliath. You're not David and your problem is not Goliath. How many times have we heard messages where they talk about, I'm gonna sling my stones and knock my Goliath down, my boss at work, my failing marriage, or my money problems, I'm gonna conquer it like David conquered Goliath. And it means well, it really does, but it's not about us. We weren't there. This is a real story. We weren't there, and it wasn't about us. Everything should point back to Jesus. And I think there's something I subconsciously knew and subconsciously thought, but it kind of went against everything that I'd been taught growing up. I kind of grew up in a church that loves God and really trusts Him as the provider and the creator, but also heavily talks about what we can do to help God. We can't do anything to help Him. He doesn't need help being God. He's been God for time. He's pretty good at the job. We don't need to help Him. We were taught things like if you sow seeds, which is giving money, if you sow your time, if you serve in church, you're basically like sowing your seeds, and one day God will water those seeds and you will be prosperous and you will be blessed. That's not how it works. And I think I had been unlearning that over the last few years, but this documentary kind of just confirmed it for me. Our faith doesn't need us to add to it in order for God to take it as faith. And an important thing that we think about is there's no second-class Christians. There's no, you're first because you do this, this and this. Like, you're first tier, we're second tier. There is none of that. And once we start to realize that, we stop putting so much power into people's lives, number one, and into our own. We stop seeing men of God and women of God as like unattainable, as something to worship, as mini gods, because they're really not. And you get this a lot in American churches and in America, hence the documentary of American Gospel. But that could have easily been African Gospel, that could have easily been Asian Gospel, that could have easily been European Gospel. I think we just see it more because a lot of us can watch TV and watch these ministers on TV or watch them on YouTube or whatever. So it's easy to do this documentary about America. But guys, go to Africa. The same thing is there. Go to Asia. The same thing is there. So until we kind of stamp out this false gospel, it's going to continue spreading around the world. And it's so sad that the most visible representation of Christianity and our faith is this kind of thing. So people that don't even know that they're loved by God, number one. Number two, that they're redeemed through faith in Christ and what he has done, dying on the cross, redeeming us in relationship, restoring relationship with Christ, with God. All they know is, oh yeah, so there's a minister in America who has 6 private jets and, has a leadership podcast. That's literally all some people know about our faith, and that turns them away. Another thing that I really, took to heart was the fact that we don't need to make the gospel any prettier or more attractive than it is. We don't need to heal people and throw money their way for them to be like, oh, I'm gonna follow Christ now. There's scriptures that literally said, where Jesus is like, I will literally raise people from the dead and they will still choose not to believe. So in the Bible, it talks about the 10 lepers that Jesus healed. Literally 10 of them were healed. Only one of them came back to him to give him praise. Where was the other 9? Were they not healed? They were literally healed, but they still chose not to believe. So I want you to understand, we should not pressure ourselves into doing all these signs and wonders so that people will come to Christ, because that's not our job. It's not our job to convert or transform or change people. It's not our job. We're called to make disciples, which means that we tell people the good news of the gospel, but it's their decision to take it. And if they don't take it, that does not mean anything related to me. That's not my job. I think it's so important we realize this, because it really relieves the pressure that we put on ourselves. I remember when I was younger and I was like, oh, I just don't have enough faith. That's why people aren't getting healed when I pray for them. No, Jesus just chose that moment not to heal them. It's not down to me. It's not my job. It's not if I pray enough, if I have enough faith. That's one thing I learned as well. I always worried growing up, because I'm very, very, very critical and very, very I think a lot about things. I overthink. And I always thought, oh, it's because of your doubt and it's because you don't have enough faith that these things aren't changing. Listen, we pray with faith and we believe that God has the power to change things, but it's not because I have more faith or less faith that it does change. It's not because I have more faith or less faith that it doesn't change. God's will is sovereign, and that means that in all circumstances, even if he does not make the thing happen or does not make the issue occur, he still wills it. It's not a surprise to him. And I think that's something that I subconsciously knew, because it sounds like it makes sense. Oh, obviously God is everywhere. God knows everything. But if you deep it, you realize that you cannot sway him by your prayers. You can't manipulate God. You can't make him think, oh, I'm going to help my daughter Paula now because she prayed 6 times today. I can't do anything to move his hand. And once you start to understand that and start to believe that, you really understand the sovereignty of God, and it stops you just thinking, I have to do so much to change things. You don't. You can rest. Breathe, beloved, breathe. One quote that when it was said, I literally paused the film and I was like, whew, okay, was, the gospel is not something you graduate from or move away from. It sounds so duh, but guys, just because we are Christians doesn't mean that we don't need to hear the gospel. We still need to hear the good news, which is, we were sinners. We were born into sinful nature, but Jesus died on that cross as the ultimate human sacrifice, because he was fully human and fully God at the same time. And there's a really nice analogy, a really nice animation in the film where it's 100% human, 100% God came together. It doesn't mean 50-50, it means 200%, because he was still very much human, but he was still very much God. So he was the ultimate human sacrifice for all of humanity who choose to believe in him. And because of that, we are now clothed with righteousness, not because we are right, not because we are good people. That's another one. Underline that, circle that. We're not good people, but we're clothed in his righteousness because we are seen through him. When God watches us, when God looks at us, he sees Jesus. And that is the good news. It's important that we constantly tell ourselves that, because if we don't, we get to this place of we think we're the reason we're saved. We think we're good. Oh, I'm a good person because I help people, or I don't lie. You're still a bad person. Your sinful nature, your very human nature and desires are not good. You choose to sin. You want to sin. And that's the truth. That's the reality of the truth. And I think I was always taught, oh no, we don't talk about that. We just talk about how we're really good people and we just do good stuff, but it's wrong. That's the truth of that. I want to keep this video quite short. I have church in a bit, and I don't think I should kind of project my feelings or what I thought about the film onto you. I really recommend you watch it for yourself and make your own decisions. But for me, it was also important that I kind of touched on some of the things that people said that were like on the other side, where it was like, don't know about that. A comment I read on a video where someone basically said that they thought that the film kind of dismisses all supernatural, and I don't believe that's true. A lot of the film talks about how, you know, being healed or getting loads of money and speaking things into existence isn't true, but it doesn't say that, you know, miracles can't happen and that miracles stopped happening in the time of the Bible. It doesn't say any of that. One thing that was interesting is that they had a woman who had multiple illnesses. Like, she was, I don't know how she's still alive. It's by God's grace that she's still alive. She has so many issues, but she was so full of joy. And she basically said that over the years of being with God, that she's learned that now her priority is not being healed. She wants to be healed. She has the desire to be healed. She has faith that God can heal her. And she also believes that if it's his will, he will heal her. So it's not like she doesn't believe in the supernatural. She very much does believe that she can wake up tomorrow healed. But she also knows that her priority isn't being healed. Her priority is day by day growing deeper in God, getting to meet with him every morning, you know, having rich relationship with him and with her husband and with her children. And I think that was an encouragement to me, because I know there's so many things in my life that I'm like, God, I thought I would have overcome this issue by now. Or God, I thought this would have been moved on by now. Like, am I still a baby in the faith if I can't? I'm still dealing with this. And the truth of the matter is, I might have to deal with it for my whole entire life. It might just be a thing that I have to carry. You know, it might just be a thorn, like Paul says in the Bible, in Corinthians. It might just be a thorn I have to take with me for the rest of my life. It might just be a cross I have to carry. But then I also believe that God can heal me from it, or God can take it away. It's important that we do not sidetrack the supernatural. Supernatural is very important in our faith. You know, Jesus performed miracles, his disciples performed miracles, his apostles performed miracles, and doesn't mean that they can't happen today. But it's important that the supernatural isn't all we look at and all we care about. It's important that, you know, money isn't all we care about, or healing isn't all we care about. These aren't bad things. It's not a bad thing to desire them, but it's just so important that they don't become the be all and end all of everything in our faith. And I think that's something that has happened and is happening all over the world. But I really just want you to call upon yourself and dig deep into yourself and think, am I trying to manipulate God? Am I saying if I work really hard at this, or if I pray more, if I fast 7 days a week, if I, you know, help in church, usher, look after kids, do all of this, then maybe God will perform this. We can't manipulate God. We can't force his hand at anything. You know, people love that, oh, you know, God will change his mind if I pray enough. No, bro, no, okay? So I just really wanted to encourage you guys, watch the film. If you don't have Netflix, there's an hour version on YouTube. And not just watch it, like go away and really pray and really just open the Bible. Like the verses they talk about, write them down, open them. If you don't understand them, read them in multiple versions and translations. You know, Google them, go on and listen to some commentaries, watch sermons. I really encourage you to open your eyes and just not to accept everything that was told to you or taught to you, because not all the time are they true or correct. Even if the person means well, there's no excuse anymore. Everything is readily available to us. The internet is there, you know, things are on YouTube. So there is no longer any excuse as to why we've been misled. It's now time we open our eyes. Yeah, I hope this has been encouraging. This is not supposed to be like some kind of like damning, judgmental video at all. I just really like woke up this morning and everything was playing in my head, and I just wanted to get it out on camera. So I hope that this has been helpful. I hope this has been edifying. If you have any other questions, comment them down below, get in touch with me, we can chat. I really want to talk about it. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like rating, comment down below, share this video and subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you guys in the next video.